Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this is the Nubia Red Magic 6. I've taken a look at some of their phones in the past, and this is the latest one they have to offer. It comes in at $599, and pre-orders are available from April 9th, and the launch date is April 15th all around the world. So let's go ahead and open it up and take a closer look at it. Let's see what we've got here. We'll remove the wrapper. Now this comes in two colors, Eclipse Black and Aurora. I'm not sure which color it is. Let's go ahead and take the cover off here. There we go. So here's the phone itself. I'm guessing this is Eclipse Black. We'll move that to the side. And then here's the box. Let's take a look at what we get with it. And we've got some, no case. Looks like a little bit of paperwork and a SIM card removal tool here. So you just have a quick guide and a warranty card included. We'll set that aside. And then it looks like we have a cable. I opened it from the wrong end, but you've got a USB-C to USB-C cable included in the box. And then we should have a charger, which just fell out there. So you can see here's the charger. I believe it's a 30-watt adapter that comes with it. Depending where you live, it can come up to a 60-watt adapter. So this one is their 30-watt adapter for the global market. So let me go ahead and set all this aside and take a closer look at the phone. So let's go ahead and take the cover off here. And this is actually a pretty heavy phone. And there's another sticker here. Let's take this off. And there we go. So like I said, it comes in Eclipse Black and Aurora. This looks like Eclipse Black, and it's not too different in its look than the 5S that they sold or came out with about 6 months or so ago. Now for a quick size comparison before we go around the phone and take a closer look, here's an S21 Ultra 5G. So it's actually a little bit taller than the S21 Ultra. It's also a little bit wider, it looks like, as well. And thickness-wise, it's very similar. So you can see the overall thickness is about the same. And another size comparison, here's an iPhone 12 Pro Max. So it's a little bit bigger than that. It's definitely a big phone, about the same width or so as a 12 Pro Max. Very similar. It's very heavy. Now it has a metal frame with glass around the outside edge. Let's take a look at what we've got. So on the right-hand side, we've got a vent here. As you can see, there's a vent, then there's a power sleep wake button, and what looks to be a microphone. As we go around, there's some antenna lines, and these are triggers, so when you want to play games. So there's triggers on either side. On the bottom, we have a speaker, then we have our USB-C for charging, another microphone, and our SIM card tray. This is supposed to support dual SIMs, dual 5G SIMs. So let's pop this out here, take a look, and as you can see, it does support dual SIMs, one on each side, and it has a little gasket around the outside edge as well. Let's go ahead and slide this back in. There we go. And then on the left-hand side, we have another vent. Below that is our volume rocker, and then we have our gamer switch at the very top. So you can see it looks pretty familiar. And then on the back, we've got 3 different cameras. Now, they don't go into detail about these cameras, but we'll talk more about those a little bit later. On the top of the phone, we have a microphone as well as a 3.5mm headphone jack. And then on the front, this is where this gets really interesting. So at the top, we have a speaker, of course, and then we've got our camera. But the display, it comes pre-installed with a screen protector. As you can see there, maybe around that edge, you can see the screen protector a little bit. But let's go over the specs because this display is what makes this unique. So the display is a 6.8-inch AMOLED 2400 by 1080 with 387 pixels per inch. It has a 165 Hz refresh rate with a 500 Hz touch sampling rate, and it can adapt from 60 Hz to 90 to 120 all the way up to 165 Hz. It's a 10-bit display and supports DCI-P3 and goes up to 630 nits of brightness. It's covered with 2.5D Corning Gorilla Glass, and then internally, it's a Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 with an Adreno 660 GPU. It has 12 gigabytes of RAM and 128 gigabytes of storage that's UFS 3.1 storage. Now, internally, it has a new cooling system. It's their updated cooling system, the ICE 6.0 cooling system. It's active with a fan capable of 20,000 RPMs to keep it cool, and it has a huge battery inside as well, 5,050 milliamp hours, and it can charge up to 66 watt quick charging, 0 to 100% in 65 minutes with a 30 watt adapter, and faster with the 66 watt adapter. Now on the front there's one camera. It's an 8 megapixel f2.0 camera that can record 1080p 30. But on the back we have three different cameras. We have a 64 megapixel camera, f1.8, wide, 8 megapixel f2.0 ultra wide, and a 2 megapixel macro. You can record 8K 30 or 4K 60. You also have Wi-Fi 6E built in as well. So it's a pretty high-end phone for not too much money compared to the competition. Let's go ahead and boot it up. This should have Android 11 with Red Magic 4.0. So we'll boot it up here and take a look at it. And you'll see it says Red Magic powered by Android. So we'll go ahead and go through the setup here. And say I've read the privacy policy, and now you have the general Google setup. So we'll go ahead and hit start, connect to a mobile network. Now I'm not putting a SIM card in here right now, but we'll go ahead and hit skip, and I'll connect to Wi-Fi instead. Now that it's connected to Wi-Fi, it's asking for an update. So we'll go ahead and hit update now. You'll see it says system update, downloading and updating. So we'll wait for that to complete, and then we'll continue. Now the phone has been updated and rebooted. I'm not going to copy any apps right now. We'll go ahead and hit next. Wait for it to check info. Now it wants me to sign in with Google. We'll just get to the home screen for now. We'll wait just a moment here. Just get through this as fast as we can. Now it wants me to put in a PIN. So we'll just put in 1234 for now. I'll change it a little bit later. And this also has an under the display fingerprint sensor. So let's go ahead and set that up. It says touch the sensor. You'll see it right here. So we'll set this up. So it's using the Google setup for this. It doesn't have their own fingerprint setup. There we go. And it just takes a moment to set up. Now this is supposed to have a 4D shock, they call it, engine inside, which is basically the haptic feedback. So it'll be interesting to see how it is in games and things like that. So we'll go ahead and hit allow for the Nubia launcher, and now we're at the home screen. So this is the main screen, and like I said, it has a very fast display. You can see in the upper left, it's telling us that we're at 90 hertz. So you can see there, 90 hertz, and let's see if we have any separate options for that. So we go to the display, and as you can see here, it says show screen refresh rate, and you can bump this up to esports level picture. It says 165 hertz. So let's go home here. So the display is super smooth. As you can see here, it has what looks to be stock Google other than the icon arrangement. Pretty much it looks similar to what you get with stock Android or what you get on a Pixel, for example. As far as wallpapers, well, there's this one. We've got a couple different others. Kind of like that one. We use this for now. And so I'll link this in the description below if you want this wallpaper, and maybe a few of the others if I can get them off this phone. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the gaming modes for this. So we'll switch on gaming, and it brings us to Red Magic. It says dedicated game space to give you controls, and this is something that's unique with these phones. So immediately it kicked on the fans. So you've got a fan right here. I don't know if you can hear that. Let me move my microphone so you can hear it. So there's the fan itself. So it's a little bit noisy. You do have control over this. It says swipe in, and you can see the turbo fan is on. If I turn it off, you won't hear it. And it's back on. You also have RGB light strips on this. So there's an RGB light strip on the back. You'll see it's flashing red that you could adjust if you want to do that. Of course, that uses additional battery. Not too much, but then you can add games. So let's go ahead and add a few games. Those aren't games, so we'll add a few games, and I'll show you how you can assign the buttons and things like that. Now, I've loaded some games to show you how this works, and if we flip on the game mode again, we'll wait for it to load. It kicks on the fan. I can turn that off for now, and the back is getting a little bit warm just from loading everything, and that's normal, so the fan would help cool that, but you can see you can add different games to the game space, and so let's go into one here. I've already got it loaded, and we'll just go into this mode here, and you'll see the fan, We can turn it on or hit confirm here, and then we can go ahead and go to start. Now, as you can see, I'm in the game and it looks nice and smooth. Colors are vibrant. Off axis, it's okay. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it looks pretty good overall. It's super smooth, as you would expect. And one of the things you can do with this is assign buttons such as your triggers to different actions on the screen. So you swipe in from the right here and then tap on shoulder triggers. And as you can see, it says it's just going through how you do this. So we'll set that up now, and we can say I want the shoulder button to do maybe, we'll turn that on here, and then you can drag these around to whatever you want it to do. So if you want the shoulder button to do a certain action, maybe crouch, for example, we can move the left one. Let's move the left one again here. We can move the left one to wherever we'd like, and I'll show you that works. So now I can jump with the right trigger and crouch with the left trigger, or go prone. So you can do those with the triggers, assignable, however you want to do it, or you can assign it for anything else. So it's super smooth, as you can see, and working really well. So again, jump, crouch, or whatever you want to assign it to. Any touch area on the screen, you can do that. Now, if I turn off the game mode, it goes back to sort of a small window, and we can close that out. It's picture-in-picture of your game. We'll close it, and because I exited the game just by switching it off like this, if we go back in, it kicks the fan back on. So it's a little bit noisy when you have the fan on, but it is keeping the device nice and cool. Another thing is, this is a 1080p HDR display, but it can play 4K YouTube videos. You can see that if we go to our options here, you can see our resolutions. We have 2160p HDR. And so we've got all of those different options here as well, which is really nice. And then I wanted to show you what the speakers are like as well, as best I can. I'll go ahead and turn this up. This is a comparison from one of my iPhone videos. So the speakers are nice and loud. You have great stereo sound when you're holding it like this. It sounds great. Let's take a look at the camera. So we'll go into the camera. You have to agree to it. And then you can see it has HDR auto, all of the same sort of settings you would expect. And then you have, like I said, 4K 60 video. So if we go to video, we go to the settings here. You can turn on things like grid, for example, and then video resolution, 8K for about 30 frames per second for outdoor use only, because you need very bright light. But you can do ultra 4K up to 60 frames per second. And in general, it's an okay camera in my experience. It even has a macro camera. So we'll zoom back out, and I'll bring in the S21 Ultra. And as you can see, you can get pretty close. It's not going to be the same quality as the S21 Ultra, for example, but it should be decent. If you care more about gaming, of course, that would be the focus. So let's see if we can go back to 1X. We'll take a photo here. We'll take one more. And you'll see it took a second to focus. You do have pro modes as well, where you can adjust the ISO, the focus, as well as the white balance and everything else. So if you really want to adjust every little thing, the color tint, everything is adjustable here, or you could just use it in full auto. So it's pretty nice that you have all those options, but this is more of a gaming phone. And so this one in particular, for what you get with all of the latest Snapdragon processors, 12 gigs of RAM, that sort of thing with 5G, makes this a pretty good value for what it is. You can see in the upper left, it's running at 165 hertz here. And it's just super smooth. Of course, you can adjust that how you'd like, just to maybe get some extra battery life out of it. And as you're gaming, that huge 5050 milliamp hour battery should really help with that. So it's really super smooth. I wouldn't say it's the quality of the S21 Ultra display, but it's definitely smoother and set up for gaming when you have the triggers and things like that. I think it's pretty decent for the amount of money. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. And like I said, I'll link those wallpapers in the description like I normally do. If you haven't subscribed already, though, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.